I can't do that.
Hello.
I really can't do that still. My finger's still a little bit dodge after you broke it last week.
I didn't break it, whatever.
It's badly bruised. But...
So I think happy Monday, everyone. We had a fab weekend, and I think we've got quite an exciting vlog today.
Well, you've just got to put it out there as something like this.
Yeah, I know. Well, because Emily and I have to come up with a topic every day. We don't script this. We come up with a topic and then we talk. That's the joy of being aligned with our goal and everything else. Sometimes we argue, but every now and then, and it's that balance, because we've always talked about, we don't want to actually be too coachy, but we do like there to be a learning, for want of a better phrase, from what we're talking about as we're waffling and the kids come running in and out. And it might be about just keep going when the kids, resilience, see, I've already got it in there. And it might be about other things. But today, I've got a new book, and we watched something exciting.
Yeah, but over the weekend was just a really
it was still on the weekend. I'd already gone in. I was that excited. I'd gone past them.
We went for a little walk in Wickham with some friends, a family.
Social distance walk.
A very socially distanced walk, but in the rain, along an old railway line in Wickham, which was nice. A nice linear walk. The kids could run off, and we could see them all times. And it was just nice to get some fresh air and have some chat with some external people outside of our house. And yesterday, early doors, we went to a beach for a blast. We went for another walking adventure. The tide was out, and we walked all the way along out to the coast, around again, and walked back to the car.
Walked for, interestingly. Now, I don't think this is as exciting as about everything else we're going to talk about. However, where the tide was out, and where we go, there's a bit of beach here. Then there's a bit of a marinery harbour, I don't really know what to call it, it's quite small, an inlet with some boats in it. And then there's another beach, and you have to walk round like that. But the tide was out so far, we could walk across the seabed. It was quite interesting. Also, super excitingly, by the time you watch this, we would have done it. But today we have our first sideshow session for the Digital Circus. It's never too late to join the Digital Circus. And this morning, or lunchtime, we talked about, or we're going to talk about, I'm confused, let alone you. This is like time travel in a film. Who actually knows? It's our accountability and setting up for the month session. Because one of the things we want to do with our members of the Digital Circus is help them through that monthly process, help them come up with their macro content topics for the month, and how they're going to spread that out across the 4 weeks, and how they're going to structure that, and then the accountability that surrounds that, with some question and answers, with some networking. And I'm quite excited.
Lots to get cracking with for that.
Cracking. Right, what are we talking about today?
So today, Alan was very excited just because one of his heroes, and I'm going to say...
Well, I think they're both loosely...
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd use the word hero.
You do interrupt me a lot again, Alan.
It's because I'm excited. You know this. I was telling someone about this.
We watched, and if you haven't watched before, Ross Edgley, we like him for different reasons.
He's quite hot, I can see that.
Now there's a picture, if you fancy just checking him out on his Instagram, it's a really horrible Instagram feed, but for other reasons, he is a machine, an absolute machine, and he was the guy who swam all the way around the UK, and I don't know if it was Comic Relief or did it off his own back.
No, he did. I'm now thinking it was Sport Relief. But he had some sponsors, Red Bull. He wasn't a novice to challenges, but that's not the point. So he had some cover and exposure and sponsorship, but he's not a professional athlete. He's more of an adventure athlete, and he decided, fascinating. Can I swear today? Can I say like the S word? I'll say polite, friendly word. So in the start of the book, he's down training with the Marines in Limpstone near Poole, or wherever the Marines are based. And he'd been doing a 48-hour swim preparing. And his initial challenge was to swim the tide neutral part somewhere in Bermuda. And some senior guy comes over and goes, "Oh, hi, well done. I hear you've been swimming. What's the challenge?" And he goes, da-da-da. And this officer turns around and goes, "That's a bit poo, really, isn't it?" And he went, "Oh," and his challenge just been smashed out the water by someone. He said, "Why don't you just man up and swim around the British Isles like this?" Probably spoke like that as well. So he went, "Yeah, I guess I might as well go and swim around the British," because no one had done it. He was the first person to do it.
The thing with Ross Edgley is that he is built like a brick house. Okay, so he is not what you call a natural swimming physique. and he decided to put his mind to it, and then he did it. And then in subsequent videos we've seen of him and challenges he's done, he's just wanted to test his body to see what his body can do. So it's like gymnastics and things.
Yeah, it's a bit more than that. So he's a sports science student, and I've just covered a bit of his background. This is his second book, and you know, he was brought up in a family that always did sport, and he seems to be built in him from where he's talking to just always want to better himself, which is a fantastic trait to have. Can be annoying on people around you, but fantastic if you've got it. And what he wanted to do was look, basically, power, as in think of powerlifting and all these other things, don't naturally correspond to endurance. So if you think about a long distance runner being wiry, Paula Radcliffe, very small. Who's the 10 5k guy, British guy? Mo Farah. Mo Farah, you know, he's very wiry. So long distance endurance, very skinny, and power, big muscle. And he wanted to say they can coexist, basically. That's what part of what he started doing.
We watched it's on YouTube, go and seek it out. He did a series of the big swim, and they're only chunked like 10-15 minutes at a section, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not very long. But absolutely fascinating, because it's not just about him swimming, it's the time he spent on the boat. It was 6 hours on, 6 hours off, 6 hours for the entire duration.
For over 150 days, 6 hours on, 6 hours off.
His mental attitude and his goddamn positive. He was so positive.
This is what this book's about. So someone said, basically some people went, I think your body will quit first. And someone else said, no, your mind will quit first, because someone had tried it not too long before him and just given up a week in. And he did this, and he's now exploring, well, hold on, why did my body and my mind not quit? Why was I able to do it? There's a famous podcaster, Joe Rogan. I know who he is, and we've never watched or listened to any of them. He got bought by Spotify, which I found fascinating about a month ago. And he suggested to Ross that if you can do that, you can do anything in the world, anything you can think of. And so go check Ross out.
Hurry up and read it so I can read it, please.
Yeah, and the key, the learning, if there needs to be a learning, is about resilience. And I sometimes feel the solopreneur, entrepreneur, cottage industry, one person running a business, whatever name you want to give them, I think it's more challenging than they are truly ever given credit for. I think the amount you need to learn and the amount you need to do is so overwhelming and, well, large rather than overwhelming. I think there could be better books written, we've put in video, better books written about the mindset about that. And we've talked before. I need to hurry up because this is going to be well over.
I'm aware.
Because the other topic's just as exciting. We've talked before about basically if you can run an ultramarathon, you can run a business, and vice versa. Or vice versa.
Anyway,
yes.
The second
Ross
thing,
Edgley, I'll tag him below.
We watched last night together. It was the second time I've watched it.
I've got to find a link for that. That might be a bit more difficult to link to.
Facebook. It was a Facebook watch. The Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith Red Table Talk, but they did a one-on-one special on the Red Couch over Father's Day about Will Smith's parenting and fathering technique and his approach to fathering his 3 children. And that was equally fascinating.
It was. We very rarely sit there in silence without touching our phones.
I mean, it was a little bit, Hollywood and stuff. But as much as he's fascinating, the discussion between the two of them about their reasoning for putting their children to Hollywood, the reasoning that they took the path they did, his own father's technique and how it shaped him to make sure that he was a very different father for his children was absolutely mind-blowing. And there are a couple of things that came out of it. One was about suffering and how his job as a father was to take his children through not the most amount of suffering, but to show them suffering and how to go through that pain barrier to get for the greater good, because that's where the learning is. And actually, when you get to that point of suffering and when it's really, really hard, that's when there is the gold that helps you to take that, to become stronger, to be more resilient, to kind of come out the side and be an amazing human being. And his children have all achieved a huge amount. One of the things they said was, everyone's like, I can't believe you put your children into Hollywood so young.
Yeah, how can you put your kids in Hollywood?
I'm from Philly. She's from Baltimore. You think Hollywood's hard? For goodness sake.
Well, all they need to do is put up with a couple of naff reviews. I had to deal with gangs and being beaten up and shot and everything else. It's like, if they can't deal with Hollywood and a couple of reviews. And what I found that an absolutely fascinating spin on our perception of Hollywood.
But there's very
quickly.
quickly. I'll think about time. There was a little bit they talked about when Jaden was in Karate Kid, and he was trying to do the splits, and he couldn't do the splits, and he was trying every single day, and then Jackie Chan comes in and literally just puts his foot down on his bum and put them into the splits, and he was crying, and it was like, and they were like, well, we can walk away from this now, son. This is it. This has been done. And he's like, no, one more time. I want to do it one more time. And it's the fact that they gave him that option. They never told him he had to get through something. If there's no chance you have to go through to the other side. They gave him that kind of strength and ability to go as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old.
Well, it would have been 9, 10 or 11, something like that.
To go, actually, no, I really want this. I'm going to do it. And that is, to install at such a young age, I thought was fascinating. But with the two stories side by side, Ross and Will Smith, very, very different in terms of what resilience means, but so fascinating. And
absolutely. Honestly, go check them both out. Check out Ross's feed. Check out, who doesn't? Hopefully, you all know Will Smith. But I've even found some of his YouTube fascinating and his Instagram fascinating. Not just because it's Will Smith, and my head doesn't quite work like that. I have to see what's behind it.
It's just his work ethic. I mean, and he's very.
Oh yeah, no, you haven't done that quote. You either come home or you die.
Oh yeah, so you should just go and watch the documentary or the conversation. But there was a snippet from when he was a kid and he was going to buy cigarettes for his dad or something, and he couldn't do it, and his dad came out looking for him, and he's like, there's only two options: either you complete the mission or you're dead. And it was very much, and that was his kind of ethos in life, is the fact that there is no plan B. And we always talk about there being no plan B. This is our path. It's going to get challenging. There will be bits where we go,
or we die.
Or we die.
That's a bit serious, isn't it?
But it's about having that mindset to go, I'm going to do this, and it may be absolutely shitty. So I just swear.
I made a point in not swearing.
That's the difference between me and Alan.
Spot the potty mouth in front of our children.
It's going to be like that, but for the greater good.
Yeah. No, fascinating. Please do go check out. I will link. Might put quite a few links below, because Ross's Instagram's as impressive as his YouTube. So I don't want people on YouTube only to find him on YouTube. Yeah. So do check them out. And Ross, Will, if you're watching this, we think you're fab, basically. Right. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.